Hello everyone, it's me, Miss Devlin. Today we are going to be doing a reading and writing activity with our book, Seth. Now, if you don't have this book, that is okay because I will post the story that we are going to be reading so that you can just print it out and use that instead. But if you do have the book, Seth, I want you to open up to the table of contents. Let's see who remembers where that is. Open up to the table of contents and find the story that says Seth's Sled. All right, so scroll your finger down. Where did it say Seth's Sled? Boop. And the table of contents is going to tell us what page the story starts on. So you slide your finger, and we can see here that the story is going to start on page 44. So go ahead and open up to page 44. I'll give you some time to get there. And when you get there, it should look like this. All right, hopefully you found the story. So we are actually going to be reading this story together. The first time we read it, I'm going to have my teacher voice on, and you are going to be following along with me, pointing to the words as I read. The second time we read it, we are going to read together. So my voice is going to be on, and your voice is going to be on. All right, now if you hear a little bit of jingling in the background, my cat is playing with this little new ball I got him, so hopefully that's not too much of a distraction. He should be getting tired pretty soon. Okay, but if you can't hear that, perfect. So once again, I'm going to start reading first. As you can see in this story, the TH, the sound is bolded. And that's going to remind our brains that when we see that sound, we don't say t, right? Because these two letters, they don't make two sounds, they make one sound. All right, I'm going to start reading. You're just going to point and follow along either in your book or on your paper. Here we go. Seth's sled. Seth's sled. And if I didn't know that was the word sled, I could use my picture clues to help me figure it out. Because look at, he's riding on a sled. Here we go. Seth's sled went fast. Seth held on. Seth hit, big word, let's do the sounds. Bumps, but did not stop. Seth hit there's that SH sound, but did not stop. Uh-oh, he hit slush. Go ahead and turn the page. Then Seth's sled hit mud. Splash. Seth got mud on his sled. Seth got mud on his pants. Seth got mud on his hat. The end. All right, now that we've read it once, we sounded out those tricky words, we know what they say, we are going to use our smooth teaching voice all together to read at the same time. So as my voice is on, your voice should be on too, and we're going to take this nice and slow. All right? Here we go. You should be pointing to the words. Let's read together. All voices on. In 3, 2, 1. Seth's sled. Seth's sled went fast. Seth held on. Seth hit bumps but did not stop. Seth hit slush but did not stop. Make sure you're still pointing to those words. Here we go. Then Seth's sled hit mud. Splash! Seth got mud on his sled. Seth got mud on his pants. Seth got mud on his hat. The end. I hope you were able to read with me. I just want to look at this word splash for a second, because at the end of this word, you see something that is called an exclamation point. And what that means is we have to make our voice a little bit more excited when we say that word. So rather than saying splash, we want to read it like splash because there's an exclamation point. That's just a little reading tip. Now that we've read the story twice, we know what's been happening in this story. So now what I need you to take out is your reading comprehension questions. And remember, the word comprehension just means that you're understanding what you just read. So we have 2 questions here, and we're going to do the first one together, and we're going to start the second one together, but then you're going to finish it on your own. Now, if you were not able to print this, that is okay. You can just write your answers on a regular piece of paper. All right, so the first thing we have to do is read the question. So question number 1 says, what did Seth's sled hit first? So in order to find that answer, we're going to have to go back into the story. All right, so find the page that tells you what Seth's sled hit, and then find the first thing the author told us that the sled hit. So I'm going to open up my book. And we're on page 44. Now, I remember from reading that the author said that Seth's sled hit not just one thing, but several things. So I remember the author said Seth hit bumps. The author said Seth hit slush. And did he hit anything else? Oh, and the author said Seth hit mud. But the question was, what was the first thing he hit? Was it bumps, slush, or mud? If we go back into the story, we can see that he hit the bumps because that was the first thing that the author said. So we want to leave this book open to this page because this book is going to tell us the answer, and it's going to tell us how to spell the word bumps. Now, the question was, what did Seth's sled hit first? We just don't want to say bumps because we want to answer in a sentence, and bumps is just a word. So we need to think of a way to answer this question with a sentence. So if we say, what did Seth's sled hit first? Well, Seth's sled hit bumps. All right, so we're going to write that together. Seth's sled hit bumps. Oh, let me get this marker tap up. I'm writing in marker so you're able to see it through the camera. I would prefer if you wrote with pencil. That way, in case you make a mistake, you can just erase. Now, if you were not able to print a paper, I would still like you to draw these lines because that's going to tell us where our letters need to go. So the first word we want to write is the word Seth's. All right, and that word is already in our sentence, so we can just copy it. So go ahead and do the capital S, S, A, and this is kind of funny. We haven't really learned this in kindergarten yet, but we need an apostrophe S there. We've learned about it. We just haven't learned how to write it. We need an apostrophe S there because remember that tells us that Seth owns the sled. So Seth, finger space, sled, if you don't know how to spell it, it's right in our question. Seth's sled. So what did Seth's sled hit first? Seth's sled hit, and try to think about what the author said and what we just said. Seth's sled hit bumps. Now that word bumps is in your book. So I want you to go into your book and find that word bumps, and I want you to copy it, or you can sound it out. Ps. Okay, you're gonna write that word down. I'm gonna do that right now by sounding it out. B. And there's my sentence, but I'm missing something at the very end, and that is a, yep, you said it, a period. Remember, it's a little dot on the grass line. So what did Seth's sled hit first? Seth's sled hit bumps. The author told us that, so we knew this was correct, and we knew it was the first thing Seth's sled hit because that was the first thing the author mentioned. All right, hopefully you got the first one down. Here it is. If you want to copy it, make sure you have those finger spaces, tall letters when they need to be tall, diggers when we got a digger. And we're going to move on to number 2. Make sure you have that period and that capital letter. Okay, now the second question is, what did Seth get mud on? So remember, Seth also hit mud. And we know when we hit mud, it splatters on us. But the author told us some things that Seth got mud on. So go ahead and open back up your book and find the page where the author tells us what Seth got mud on. Should be somewhere on page 46. Now, from looking at this picture, we can see that Seth didn't just get mud on one thing. He got mud on everything. And the author told us specifically that he got mud on his sled. Seth got mud on his pants. And Seth got mud on his hat. So, we're going to start this answer together, but then you are going to choose one thing that Seth got mud on and put it in your answer, okay? So, what does Seth get mud on? We can't just say sled, because that's not a sentence. We can't just say pants. That's not a sentence. We can't just say hat. That's not a sentence. So we need to think of a way to turn our answer into a sentence. So what did Seth get mud on? Seth got mud on his, and that's where your answer comes in. So we will start to write this together. So what does Seth get mud on? Seth, capital S, Seth, and we don't want to say Seth get mud on, because it doesn't really make sense. So we have to say Seth got mud on. So Seth, finger space, got, g, g, got. Another finger space. Oops, sorry. Trying to write on this book. Seth got mud. Seth got mud, finger space, but in my case, I have to go to the next line. Seth got mud on, that's a sight word, we know how to spell that one, his, I'm not going to tell you the answer. You're going to go back in the book and you're going to find one thing. I'm going to draw a dark line, but that just, you don't do this. I'm going to do it though. That just means that's where you're going to write your answer. So Seth got mud on his blank. Use the book to help you spell that word. And if you want a challenge, you could write 2 things Seth got mud on. You could even write 3 things Seth got mud on because the author did mention 3 different things. But if you just want to do one, that is perfectly okay. Once you're done filling in your word, don't forget that sentence or that period at the end of your sentence. Right there, really small. I don't want to see big scribbles, okay? That's not a period. And when you're done, go ahead and take a picture and upload it to your Dojo portfolio. I can't wait to see all the different answers. Make sure though you're getting your answer from the book. All right, we don't just want to make something up. All right, Seth got mud on his cat. No, that's not what the author said. Make sure you check out what the author says and fill in your answer. Here's your work today. If you need one last look at it, if you want to, you can always pause this video and copy down whatever you didn't get. All right, I hope you enjoyed the story, Seth Sled. Luckily for us, we won't be sledding again for a while because it is spring and the weather is too warm for it to snow. But in this book, Seth is still enjoying winter time. I can't wait to see your answers, and I also want you to focus on using neat handwriting. So if you look at your paper right now and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I could have wrote a little bit neater, you can do it over or just fix some letters with an eraser, which is why I would like you to use pencils. All right, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.